Hey guys, welcome to a monthly pickup video for January 2012, and I hope everyone is enjoying their new year so far. I know I am. I mean, January was an exciting month for video games, and not necessarily new releases, because I didn't pick up any new releases throughout the month of January. I just went back and, picked up some older titles that I've really been wanting to add to my collection for a while now. So I'll start off with the console games since I only have 3 of them to share with you guys. The first game I actually bought on January 1st, New Year's Day. I went to Target, went to the video game section, and looked at the clearance bin, and I saw Driver San Francisco there. It was on sale for $30, so I picked it up. And I'm glad that I did. To be honest with you, after playing through this game and spending about 15 hours with it, I actually would have paid full price for it. I really enjoyed Driver San Francisco. It's a lot of fun. I know a lot of people kind of sighed at this game when they heard that a new Driver game was coming out, because the series has kind of fallen off the wagon over the past iterations. But hopefully this game revamps the series. Really is a lot of fun. I recommend it to anyone that's a fan of racing games or even driving games that involve like mission type of objectives. It's just really fun. It has this cool, outlandish story. The characters are great, cheesy dialogue and jokes, and the soundtrack is really good as well. It was very surprising to hear some old soulful music in the game, so I was really pleased with that. And also the gameplay elements are really cool, because it has this whole thing where you can shift. They call it shift in the game, and you have this outer body experience. You shift into other cars and you drive those cars. It adds a lot of strategy to the gameplay when it comes to races and doing other objectives like that. It's a cool game. It's really cool, and I definitely recommend it to all of you guys out there that are fans of the series, or if you're a fan of a racing game, definitely check this out. I also picked up Lord of the Rings War in the North for the Xbox 360. I kind of got this on a whim. The price had dropped to $34 used, and then I had a GameStop voucher for $20 off of any pre-owned game. So the deal was pretty cool, and I'm glad that I picked it up. I enjoyed the Lord of the Rings games on the Xbox last generation. I enjoyed playing through those games, Twin Towers and Return of the King. Lots of fun. And this game is fun as well. I've only beaten the first chapter so far, so I'm really early in. But it really is a lot of fun. It has that whole Lord of the Rings vibe to it, and it tells I want to say kind of a different side of the story. Like I said, I'm very early on, so I'm not quite sure where they're going with it, but the gameplay is really cool. I enjoy just going around and hacking and slashing things up, and it looks really good as well. I think it was about a week or so ago that I was just sitting and thinking about the Tale series. Like, I really enjoyed the Tale series. I think it's one of my favorite RPG series that I've ever played. And I came to this decision that I wanted to collect all of the Tales games that have been released in the United States, because I'm not crazy enough to collect all of the games that have been released in Japan. There's been a bunch of Tales games that have come out in Japan, and they haven't been brought over here. So I figured if I just stick with the US releases, that's manageable, and I can enjoy all of them. So throughout January, I picked up 2 Tales games. I actually picked up one more, but it hasn't arrived yet. So the first game is for the Nintendo Wii. It's the sequel to one of my favorite RPGs, Tales of Symphonia. It's Tales of Symphonia, Dawn of the New World, and I haven't heard the best things about this game. I haven't started playing it yet, but I haven't heard the best things about this game. But like I said, a lot of the bad things that I've heard about this game have revolved around the story. And while I do look forward to, playing through a great story in video games, when it comes to the Tales series, I really not only enjoy the stories, but I really enjoy the gameplay. And if this game sticks to the gameplay that was in Tales of Symphonia, I'll enjoy it just as much as I did that game. Also, for the PSP, I picked up Tales of the World, Radiant Mythology, and this is like a spin-off of the Tales series. I'm not quite sure what this is all about. I didn't even know that this existed until the other day when I was looking up all of the Tales games that were released in the United States. So this was a nice little surprise, and hopefully I can get into this sometime soon. Also for the PSP, I picked up Luminous Puzzle Fusion, which is a classic PSP title. This game, I just spent hours on end playing this game, but I traded it in back in the day, and I'm glad that I have it back in my collection now. I picked this game up for $4, which is a steal. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. Like I said, classic PSP title, great music, great visuals, just a fun game all around that I spent hours on end playing. And I'm really excited to get my hands on Luminous Electric Symphony, which is going to be available for the PlayStation Vita. So I'm definitely playing some of this here and there whenever I can. The last PSP title that I picked up is Jacandia, The Timeless Land. And I'm not quite sure about this game. It was only $10 brand new at GameStop, so I figured it was worth the risk. I've heard some all right things about it. People say that it's kind of similar to Half Minute Hero, but just not as good. And I don't mind that considering the fact that it was only $10, but it looks really cute and it looks like it could be a lot of fun. So at the end of December, I actually picked up a new 3DS. Now, I did have an aqua blue 3DS, but now I have the limited edition Legend of Zelda 3DS, which is just beautiful. This thing is stunning. I mean, it comes with the 3DS and it also comes with the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. I already had that game, so now I have an extra copy of it. But this thing is just beautiful. I mean, it looks great. Has a little gold finish there. I mean, it plays exactly the same. I mean, it's no different, but it's just really, really awesome. And the reason why I decided on getting this was because I want to say a few years back, I actually wanted the limited edition Zelda DS that came out. It was gold, and I thought that thing was just, I thought it was beautiful. But by the time I got around to, actually getting it, it wasn't available anymore, and I was really upset. So I figured I wasn't going to let that happen to me again, which is why I picked this up. Also for the 3DS, I picked up Centipede Infestation, which has actually dropped in price. It's only $20 now. And I figured, hey, might as well. This is a game that I was interested in, but I didn't want to pay $40 for it. So it's pretty cool that it has dropped in price. I still haven't gotten around to playing it yet, but it has been developed by WayForward, which is one of my favorite developers now. I think they put out some awesome games. Quality stuff. So I'm excited about playing through this. It kind of reminds me of Earth Defense Force in a way, because you're basically killing giant centipedes and ants and all other types of things. So this should be a fun arcade type of title. We all know that the DS is coming to the end of its life cycle, and I'm sad to see it go. I've had so much fun with that handheld. I mean, it's one of my favorite handhelds, and I'm just really sad to see it go. But I am a little excited because now I have the opportunity to pick up some of the games that I've wanted in my collection, but I've just never gotten around to actually getting them. And now I can get them at a reasonable price. I mean, fairly cheaper than what they retailed for. So the first game isn't necessarily an old DS game, but I do have to give props to Point Blank Games because he hit me to Thor God of Thunder. And this game was developed by WayForward, again, one of my favorite developers. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's like a brawler, hack and slash. It doesn't necessarily follow the movie. It's not like a movie-based tie-in game, but it's a lot of fun. And I mean, it does what WayForward does best, and I think the controls work really well. So I know it looks a little cheesy, but it really is a good game. I also picked up Snowboard Kids, or if you're a hipster like me, it's SBK. This game isn't fun. This game isn't fun, and it's a shame. I was looking for a fun arcade snowboarding game because I'm really anticipating SSX. I can't wait to play that game. And I figured, this is a game that I've wanted in my DS collection for a while. And, I said, hey, just in time, it's February, might as well just, play this game until I can get my hands on SSX. But yeah, it doesn't deliver at all. It is an arcade snowboard game, but it's just not fun. The controls don't work that well, and it's a shame because it looked like this game could have a lot of potential. So I guess I'm gonna have to wait until the end of February to actually play SSX to get that snowboard fix I've been looking for. Resident Evil Deadly Silence is another game that I picked up. I've wanted this game in my collection for a while now, but it's actually been hard to find in my area. But I got lucky, picked it up. Probably won't get around to playing this game until after I play through Resident Evil Revelations for the 3DS. But I just want to see how this game translates on the DS. I mean, you know, Resident Evil is one of the series that I actually really do enjoy. I've played through the first one numerous amounts of times and I enjoy it. So I want to see how it plays out on the DS. Final Fantasy Fables Chocobo Tales. I picked this up on a blind buy. It's basically like a mini game Final Fantasy title, I guess, but it looked really cute. The cover art is definitely what made me buy it. Beautiful Joe Double Trouble. This game is a blast. It's very similar to the GameCube and PlayStation 2 Beautiful Joe games. Looks great. Art style is awesome. The gameplay is great. I've had a lot of fun playing this game. Wario Master of Disguise is a game that I'm currently playing through right now, but I'm not too hot on it, but yet I don't want to stop playing it. I enjoy the Wario games. I love the platforming in them, and I like the little humorous bits that's mixed up in there. But this game, I think it relies a little bit too much on the touchscreen stuff, and that's understandable because this game came out pretty early on in the DS life, the lifespan. So, you know, that kind of happened early on when the DS came out. A lot of the games relied solely on touchscreen, you know, gameplay elements, and a lot of the stuff really doesn't need to be in there, but it's in there anyway, and it's a little annoying. I don't know, I'm definitely going to continue playing through it, but it's not one of my favorite Wario titles. And to round out my DS haul, I picked up Suikoden Tierkiris. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but whatever. The Suikoden games have always been an RPG series that I've wanted to get into, but I just never really have. So it's pretty cool that I found this game really cheap. It was only $9, and it's pretty hard to come by, which is kind of crazy. I definitely missed out on this when it was released, but I'm glad that this is like an entryway into the series, and hopefully I could get into it and pick up some of the PlayStation 2 titles. I have some Game Boy games to share with you guys. I definitely am back on my Game Boy grind. I'm still trying to collect those Game Boy titles that I played as a little girl, and some of the Game Boy games that I missed out on, or even some of the interesting looking Game Boy games. So the first one, I remember playing this one as a little kid. It's Fish Dude. Hopefully you guys can see that. This is pretty fun. It reminds me of Feeding Frenzy, but it's just not as in-depth. Basically, you're this fish and you're in the ocean and you are going around eating smaller fish, but you have to avoid the bigger fish or else they'll eat you. It's an arcade-based game. Really is addicting and a lot of fun. Burger Time Deluxe. Yes, this game. Top notch right here. One of my favorite arcade titles. I have this on my 3DS. It was released on 3DS Virtual Console, so I'm enjoying this game double time. Awesome. I'm glad to have it in my collection again. Final Fantasy Adventure. This is a title that I wanted to get back in the day, but I was a little skeptical because I remember having a Final Fantasy game on the Nintendo. I think it might have been the first Final Fantasy, and I remember my cousins just arguing about that game because no one knew what to do. And being a young little girl, I was just kind of intimidated by the Final Fantasy games. So I remember a friend of mine saying how much fun they had with Final Fantasy Adventure, and it's years later, and now I finally have it in my collection so I can play through this. Castlevania 2 Belmont's Revenge. This cartridge is a little tore up, but you know, it still plays great. And I never played this game as a child, but after playing it now, I can say this game is hard. This is a hard game, and I definitely want to play more of it. I might even do some type of feature on the Castlevania Game Boy games. I think I have one more Castlevania Game Boy game to go, but wow, man, this game is hard. DuckTales 2 is such a fun game. I remember playing this game a lot as a little girl, and I had so much fun with it. Very similar to the first DuckTales game on the Game Boy. It's just a lot of fun, and who doesn't love DuckTales? I mean, one of the best animated shows ever. So yeah, definitely want to get the NES DuckTales 2 game. If I can find that for cheap, I definitely will pick that up. The last Game Boy game that I purchased, I just had to have it in my collection. I didn't know anything about this game, but the title alone is just classic. It's Mr. Chen's Gourmet Paradise. It doesn't get any better than that. I mean, it's pretty awesome. It kind of plays like a Burger Time clone, but it's not as fun. A lot of you guys probably don't even know about this game. But it is very similar to Burger Time. But the fact that it's called Mr. Chen's Gourmet Paradise, I just knew I had to have it in my collection. And the last things that I have to share with you guys comes from a fellow YouTuber who is just simply awesome. She was probably one of my early subs here on YouTube. She's just an awesome lady. We have a lot of similarities. You know, she's a mom and a wife and a gamer. And she's just awesome, you know. Like I said, we have a lot in common. And she's also on Twitter, so we talk to each other through Twitter often. She's just a good all-around person. Her name is Alya. Hopefully I'm saying that right. But she knows who she is. She reached out to me. And she said, Steph, you know, I have some Game Boy titles that you might be interested in. So, you know, we worked some stuff out, and she sent them my way free of charge, which I totally wasn't expecting. I was more than willing to pay for the Game Boy games that she was going to send me. But she said, you don't have to do that. So I was just like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. I mean, I totally appreciate it. Thank you very much. She also sent me some goodies that I had no clue were going to be in the box. So first off, she sent me 2 art books, The Art of Assassin's Creed, which I already have. And she also sent me The Art of Devil May Cry, which I already have. And these are 2 amazing looking art books that I got when I pre-ordered. I got this when I pre-ordered Devil May Cry 4, and I got this when I pre-ordered Assassin's Creed. So that's pretty awesome. And she also sent me something that I was supposed to get when I pre-ordered Castlevania Portrait of Ruin, but I never got it because that GameStop was being shady. She sent me the little pre-order bonus that came with Castlevania Portrait of Ruin for the DS. And I just couldn't believe that she sent this to me. It comes with this deluxe art collection that features, you know, basically the 20th anniversary of the series. So it highlights all of the Castlevania titles, and it has some art in there. I mean, it's pretty awesome. It looks great. Great artwork in here. And then it also comes with this little poster that has like the timeline of Castlevania, the series. And on the back you got some artwork for Portrait of Ruin. And then it also comes with a deluxe music collection soundtrack, which is pretty cool, a stylus, and I still haven't figured out what this is. If any of you guys know what this is, please let me know. But I just thought it was awesome that she sent that to me, and you know, it's just something that I really wanted to have in my collection at the time, and I was pretty bummed out that I didn't get it when I was supposed to get it. But the fact that I have it in my collection now is just awesome. So thank you very much for sending this stuff my way. Like I said, this was a total surprise. I didn't know this was going to come in the box. But what I did know was going to come in the box were some Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games. The first one is Frogger. It's classic Frogger. Can't go wrong with that. And also Frogger's Adventure Temple of the Frog, which is more or less like a platforming Frogger type of game, which is kind of weird, but it really is fun. It's cute. And she also sent me Sonic Advance and the Sonic Pinball Party bundle. It's a little pack. It has both games in there, which was really useful because I got rid of all of my Sonic Advance Game Boy titles, and I'm kind of upset with myself that I did that. So now I have 2 back in my collection. She also sent me Looney Tunes for the Game Boy, which is pretty awesome. This game is a lot of fun. It's like a little platformer, but it really is fun, and it has cute little music as well. And the last game is a box and complete copy of F-Zero GP Legend, which is a classic Game Boy Advance title. I love the F-Zero series. And this game is really a lot of fun. I already have it, just the cart by itself, but the fact that I have a box copy of one of my favorite Game Boy Advance titles, it's awesome. I don't have too many of those, so it's pretty awesome that I have another box Game Boy Advance game. So that's everything, guys. By now you're probably tired of watching me ramble on about video games. I'm sorry for that. I had a lot of stuff to share with you guys this month. I want to thank you for watching this video, and I'll check you next time.